You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys. And today I wanted to talk about something that we really haven't danced around too much just yet on LaunchpreneurAcademy.com or Brian's Law Maintenance YouTube channel. But that is something that is very, very important and something that I want to talk about for a few minutes here. And that is having an employee handbook and a proper employee procurement form or an application. Now, full disclosure, we have these available at LaunchpreneurAcademy.com. They're great resources. And we also have them in a bundle package, which can help you guys save a little bit of money. Now, here's the deal. I'm not here to sell you guys on picking up the forms or the handbook, none of that. But I do want to talk about the reasons for them. Because here's the deal. As my company grows, as our company has grown, we have put these resources in play and in place because we have a budding company. We have a budding culture, and we also want to make sure that we're doing things correctly. All right, so without further ado, I wanted to talk about 8 different reasons, and this is actually, let me cite my source here from paycor.com. 8 reasons why you should have an employee company handbook. So we're going to go through what they suggest and their 8 reasons why, and then I also might mix in a little bit ad-libbing here as well. All right, so this is an important topic. Don't tune me out. I think this one will be very illuminating and very helpful. And here's the deal. If you guys are hiring your first person or you guys are hiring your 100th person, you need to start paying attention to stuff like this. There's compliance reasons. There's, you don't want to get into a lawsuit. You don't want to get into a he said, she said. You do want to have paper trails. You do want to cover your butts. And an employee handbook and procurement form is an important aspect of your company culture and the way you conduct business. All right. So we're going to present some ideas here to you guys in this episode. I'm really, really excited about sharing that with you. So let's do this really quick. Before we jump into it, we're going to hear from today's show sponsors and show announcements from Marty, Mr. Producer, down in the ATL, and we'll come right on back.
Looking for one place to find all the gear you need? Then Ballard-Inc.com is what you've been looking for. With over 30 years in the industry and 22 years selling high-quality products, we've got you covered. From mower gear, trailer racks, mower blades, safety gear, and more, you'll find everything you need to maximize your efforts and protect your gear in one place. We are constantly bringing you new products to make you effective, efficient, safe, and profitable. Make sure to use Brian's 10 to save 10% at checkout. We've made our website even better and easier to use, so head over to Ballard-Inc.com today and gear up. We appreciate the support and hope you have a great season.
All right, guys. Well, let's jump right back into it. So when we're talking about hiring new folks, the couple resources that we have so far available at LaunchpreneurAcademy.com, and by the way, you guys can tell that our website is just growing like crazy. From lawn contracts to snow resources to landscape resources with the landscaping bid form and estimate sheet and the change order form to, as you guys can see now, the employee handbook and procurement form. Later this fall, we're hoping to drop job description forms. And some of these are actually going to be free resources. We're just trying to help you guys grow. And as my company grows, you can see that we're going through growing pains. We're going through, we're having stretches, right? Growing pains, or what's it called when a lady's giving birth and having a baby? Any which way. You guys know what I'm talking about. Stretch marks, right? So our company is growing. We're pregnant with growth. We've been adding folks, and we're always working on the culture. And so as my company grows, you guys have taught me a bunch. My friend Mike Bedell's taught me a bunch. The Almonds have taught me a bunch. There's a lot of things that I'm was missing in my company, really, for the first 10, 12, 13 years that we've really done an about face. So I'm not pretending to be the guru here. I'm not pretending to be the know-it-all here. I'm telling you guys real life. Like, I'm growing my company every single day. I know you guys listen to the podcast all the time, but I'm literally out there slinging mulch, laying stripes, doing the deal just like you guys. And we create all this extra content part-time, nights and weekends to help you guys grow. But these are actual things that I'm implementing in my business. This isn't just a way for me to sell you guys things you don't need. We don't do that. We don't believe in that. Okay. So let's do this really quick. First thing is, when you're hiring a new person, what is an employee handbook? It's a manual, right? It's a manual that gives all the employees a detailed overview of the policies specific to your organization. It is the who, what, when, where, why, the how. It is the true north. It is I won't say the law of the company, but it is everything that the new hire can know and expect. They can read up on the company. How did they get started? What's the story? All of that stuff should be in a good company handbook. In fact, let me give you for example. Every company that you've ever worked for more than likely gave you an employee handbook as well. I literally remember getting started at Little Caesars Corporation way back in the day. And man, their employee handbook, even for a crew member, had to have been 80 to 100 pages. And we would flip through it. We would cite some different things. Usually you get on the line and start whipping pizzas, back then. So I'm not saying, spend 14 years going with your new hire for your lawn care business and going through every single page of the employee handbook on day one, but you should, or at least give them a copy of it so they can take home, sign it, and then bring it back. Ideally spend 20, 30 minutes going over it with them, maybe at lunch or at the new hiring process, but you want to make sure that you go over it. But I remember back in the day working at Little Caesars, and when I was promoted to store manager, man, the training module was like 6 weeks, 6 10-hour sessions down at the Fox building on Wednesdays. I'd go down there, and we would literally page by page, line item by line item, go through the whole company book. And I had to take a huge test to become an approved, accredited, whatever, approved store manager. I remember the test. It was wild. It was like 200 some, questions. Like, when was Little Caesars found? When, what Illich, founded it? And it'd be like Bob, Tom, Dave, and, gosh, I don't remember the dude's name anymore. Mike, right? But dude, it was multiple choice. It was wild. It was a Scantron. And I'm like, dude, I just want to sling pizzas. But I was, applying for a salaried position, and I was going to be like the first level of the corporate tier outside of at the restaurant level. It was like the first level of the corporate tier was the top level of the restaurant tier, if that makes any sense. And I'm like, I don't care about any of this. I just want to sling pizzas and make 40 grand a year. But you know what? They were developing their company culture, and they wanted to make sure that I was a competent store manager, right? All right. So any which way, you want to have the same things mixed in with your business, from an application all the way to an employee handbook, and then eventually, like I was talking about earlier, job descriptions. And I'm sure we'll be rounding out the whole website with even more resources to come. All right. So according to paycor.com, introduces your employee to the culture, mission, and values. I like that. Now, we don't have a mission section in our employee handbook. I think that is something that you should include in there, but that is something that you're going to have to develop separately because, as you would imagine, everybody's company mission is different. In fact, I do want to get together with my guys here before the season really kicks off and start talking to them about company mission, company goals, company standards. Not rules, right? Because rules are top down, standards are lateral, they're horizontal and up. Everybody commits to the standards, and that way everybody holds themselves accountable. You don't make rules. Somebody, continuously shows up late, and then you're over trying to be the boss and the bad guy telling them what they didn't do right. When you have standards, all the other employees say, dude, Billy, stop showing up late, dude. Like the crew can't leave until you're here. You're affecting all of us. I don't want to get home late. I got a wife and kids, right? So those are standards. By the way, you want to read a really good book, talking a lot about books this year on the podcast, The Gold Standard by Coach K, Mike Krzyzewski from Coach of Duke. It was about the men's U.S. Olympic gold medal wins, I think back to back, if I'm not mistaken, in 2004, 2008, something like that. Really, really good book. I remember a lot of good takeaways from that. All right. Introduces your employees to culture, mission, and values. I also say definitions as well. You can have all the equipment spelled out, all the different reasons for different things, names of different things. That way people start understanding things specifically. Like definitions back at Little Caesars, like what's a pizza cutter, or what's a box top, or different things like that you wouldn't say in regular language or lingo, but they're exclusive to that industry or even specifically that company, right? Definitions would be laid out in your employee handbook for your company, from slinging mulch to a trimmer to different tools to different ways you guys go about best practices. Definitions are really important. That's actually included in the employee handbook. All right, number 2, according to Paycor, communicates to employees what is expected of them. A well-written handbook provides employees with a clear understanding of their responsibilities. So that would be a great one here. We have some of that with expectations that people have at our company. We do not have job descriptions just yet. If you guys have some great forms and resources like that we can make available at launchpreneuracademy.com, and perhaps there's some compensation that we can do for you guys as well, I'd love to continue to round out the website and just scale with all of you guys. It is not this thing that I exclusively put together to say, if you don't run a lawn care business this way, you're out of business. It's nothing like that. We've actually procured a bunch of resources to help you guys grow, and this is some of them that we're talking about right now. My goal is to make that the most robust and go-to and best bang for the buck for anybody starting a lawn and landscaping business. And I mean that sincerely, okay? So in our employee handbook, we do talk about job responsibilities and expectations of everyone that's hired in. But this one also says to include different expectations and job duties for each role, which I like and I agree. Number 3, educates employees about what they can expect from management and leadership. I'm telling you what, man, that is huge. And that is one of the reasons to start incorporating a handbook. If you've never had one, that's one of the best ones, because here's why. A good employee handbook doesn't only protect you, it also protects the employee, right? I mean, think about it. Let's say after a year, they get a paid week vacation. After 6 months, they get 2 PTO days. Caleb Waldman talks about this all the time. What holidays do they get paid for? What holidays do they not get paid for? What happens if they, get sick for 5 days? Are they getting paid? Are they not getting paid? Are they accruing PTO? How often? How much? And when? By the way, what is also your state rules for that, your state laws for that? Make sure you always take any resource that you get from Launchpreneur Academy and pass it through your local CPA, attorney, insurance agent, whatever you guys need, right? It's not legal advice. There's a little disclaimer. You got to check box anytime you buy or download one of our contract-esque resources. So you guys know that it's not law, okay? You got to make sure it's personalized and specific for your state laws. And New York state laws are very different than Delaware, different than Florida, different than Texas, different from California, okay? But nonetheless, what can people expect from management and leadership? For example, when do people get paid at your company? You're like, people get paid every 2 weeks. When? What time? What day? How? What happens if there's a bank holiday? Do they get paid the day before, the day after? All that stuff needs to be spelled out. Also, what happens if there are incidences? What happens if they're tardy? What happens if they're late? How many write-ups do they get? How many write-ups do they get until they're fired or terminated? Right? Is there a course of action or an action plan? You might hear like ISO 9001, and there's a lot that goes into that. We are not ISO 9001. No way, no shape, or how. But there's a lot of big companies that are moving towards that. And there is like a whole administrative flow and process to becoming ISO 9001 rated, and incident reports and action steps, and 3 different times that this happened. And what do we do to make sure it doesn't happen again? Or if it does happen, it's wild. Okay, so this stuff is like, you really need to start paying attention to it. Long story short, okay? All right, this one also says, and part of that is the Family Medical Leave Act and all this different stuff. Timekeeping requirements. Where do they report? How do they report their hours? How do they clock in? Great stuff there. All right, number 4, helps ensure key company policies are clearly and consistently communicated. It says no policy is effective if it is practiced inconsistently. A handbook will accurately communicate your organization's policies regarding employment, conduct, behavior, compensation, and other policies and procedures to follow. There you go. All right. Number 5, showcases the benefits that you can offer. This is a huge one. In fact, this is in our employee handbook. By the way, if and when you download the employee handbook, everything in red needs to be changed to your company's name and or something that you need to specifically evaluate how your company approaches it. All right. So talking about health insurance. Does your company offer health insurance? Does it offer a retirement plan, paid paternal leave, other bonuses? For example, what happens if, all of you guys are on time, right, for the month? Are there any bonuses? What happens if all of the controllable costs are met and there's no overages on labor or materials? Is there a bonus for that? What happens if anybody does sell something? Do they get a commission structure or a bonus structure? Is that laid out in the employee handbook, right? Like, these are important things that you have to start paying attention to after you hire that first guy. I'm telling you straight up, I didn't do this for a decade, and I'm really glad that I never got in a really sticky employee situation. I kind of got lucky. We were skating on ice the whole time. And I mean that sincerely. And I'm not trying to put the fear of God or make you buy a resource for $100, $200, whatever it is. I'm just telling you straight up, you have to start taking the professionalism of your company to a higher standard and a higher level every single day, right? We always want to keep improving and getting better and improving our company culture. And I'm telling you, an employee handbook is a great way to do it. I don't care if it's your best friend. I honestly don't care if it's your brother, as long as he's not like a co-owner. You need to establish these standards. By the way, your guys are craving for leadership. They're craving some structure. They're craving some formality. They like knowing that they're working for a professional outfit. And when you come in with the employee handbook and just have one company meeting and you've never had one before, it changes the tone of everything. It goes from, yeah, I mow grass to I work at such and such organization and such company, right? So these are huge. And you might think, oh, you're just trying to sell me on the form. I'm telling you I'm not, because I just did this not even a couple days ago with my guys, and they loved the whole conversation. We went through this whole employee handbook, had them sign off on it. It was great conversation, and they were giving me suggestions of things that we can improve and include in the company handbook moving forward. This is a roadmap for your company. You need to be able to hand this to every single person that hires in. Really quick, talking about a robust benefits package is what they talked about. Number 5, we have a couple bonus offerings in my handbook that I added in there. Where I think one, for example, is if everybody shows up on time for the month. There's no late days, no tardy days, and no call offs. It's a $150 bonus per guy. It's literally a walk into it kind of bonus. Just show up at 8 o'clock every day and take the rig out. No call-offs, no nothing. If everybody shows up on time, each employee gets $150. Also, if nobody, another bonus that we have in there that I remember offhand is, as long as nobody cancels due to poor quality service or poor customer service, another $100 bonus per guy. So each employee right there can walk into an additional $250 a month bonus by just doing what they're supposed to do. Show up on time and do a good job, which, by the way, when you really distill this whole thing down, what are we trying to do? Make sure everybody shows up, mow the lawns, get done, do a good job. I mean, literally get everything done and do a great job. Care, right? So I told my guys, hey, there's an extra 10, 15% bonus per paycheck per month, right? If you can just show up on time and do the work and not let anybody, get canceled based on poor quality work. Now, if somebody moves or dies or gets fired or whatever, then that's a whole different story on a cancellation. But if you keep missing spots or we don't blow the clippings, you don't double cut, or quality sucks, and that's on you guys, well, sorry, you're going to lose the bonus for that month. But any which way. All right, number 6, as we keep it going, ensures company compliance with federal and state laws. I combine that word, fate. I like that. So compliance. You guys have heard me say that word a lot. And I'm not a huge educated person on all of this, so I'm not going to try to speak, volumes on it. But one thing that Bedell really told me a lot too is like, dude, you need to make sure that you're in compliance with a lot of stuff, from your bookkeeping to your taxes, to the way you're hiring, to the way you're firing, to the best practices about how you do work, so on and so forth, right? Compliance is huge. You want to make sure you're doing the right thing as much as possible. And obviously the answer to that is all the time. And by the way, what really put my feet to the fire, dude, I'm on YouTube. I'm a public figure. There's 250,000 people following us. I am going to make sure that I am as squeaky clean and doing things as correctly as possible. And some of you guys, you're paying cash, for your employees. You're not paying your taxes correctly. Hey, you got $1,500 for a landscape job for a deposit. I'm putting that in the personal. Look, you do you, okay? But I'm telling you, you're not going to get better as a business person. That stuff will catch up with you one day. I'm not speaking it over you. I'm just saying, I know guys out there that shoot me DMs. Hey man, I got a $25,000 tax bill, or we got burned on sales tax. We owe $18,000. I don't have $18,000, and I'm like, were you doing this correctly? Were you compliant? Did you know? Well, yeah, I kind of figured, but I didn't really know. I just didn't have time, man. We were just so busy growing. Look, dude, you need to get into compliance with everything you're doing, and maybe you don't have an internal thing that's like making you raise your standard. Okay. For me, it was external. I'm like, dude, my friends are telling me, my friend Mike Bedell's like, hey, you need to kind of clean this up, clean that up. I'm on YouTube. I'm like, I don't want to get audited and, get destroyed, privately or publicly. Right now I'm like, I fear no audit. It sounds weird to say. I'm not encouraging one or enticing one or looking to go boxing with the IRS, but I'm just saying, like, dude, if that was the case, I'd turn my laptop around, I'd have my, accountant, my CPA do all the talking, but I'd be like, dude, open book. What do you need? How many receipts? Where, what, when, why, and how? I mean, I really do believe that wholeheartedly. That was not the conversation 3-4 years ago. Excuse me. So ensures compliance with federal and state laws. We want to make sure that everything is in there that you need to have for your state and local laws. Your handbook not only communicates these various entitlements and obligations to employees, but is useful in demonstrating that your organization strives to be compliant with these regulations. By the way, I know you think you're doing your guys a favor by 1099ing them, incorrect way to pay them. I know you think you're doing a favor by paying your guys cash, incorrect way to pay them. Because what happens when things go south? I guess it's kind of the fear of God part. What happens if things do go south? What happens if your boy turns on you and he says, oh yeah, I get paid cash, and he hasn't paid state taxes for 5 years, or he pays all of his guys cash, or just 1099s us? You cannot 1099 an employee. Okay? You can 1099 a subcontractor. You cannot 1099 an employee and get away with it long term. Okay. So any which way. Number 6, ensures compliance with federal and state laws. Is this helping you guys out? I'm telling you what, this is all stuff that is like the dry stuff, man. But this is the business stuff. This is the things that really put companies underwater if they don't do it correctly. They don't focus on the stuff at least once in a while. Number 7, we were just alluding to this, helps defend against employee claims. Unfortunately, employers should consider it as a matter of when and not if they will face a lawsuit or similar challenge from a current or former employee. Wow, isn't that interesting? I heard a stat once, I think it was Tom Wheelwright or somebody. I was listening to some show, somebody was talking about lawyers and lawsuits, and I think it was like 1 out of every 4 people in entrepreneurship. 98% of all stats are made up on the spot. But I think it was 1 out of 4 people as entrepreneurs are currently in a litigious situation right now. They have a lawsuit going on. I don't know if it was 1 in 4 people or 1 in 4 entrepreneurs, but it was like 1 in 4 somebodies. You know what I'm saying? Meaning that's a lot of people, dude. I don't know how many entrepreneurs out there, if there's 50 million small businesses, but at any one time, there's 15 million lawsuits going on. I believe it. And if there's 300 million people and 200 million adults, that means 40 million people are in a litigious situation about something, whether it's civil to this, to that, or massive. So any which way, cool. Chains are cool to cop, but more important there are lawyer fees, right? Jay-Z taking it back. Okay, some of you didn't expect that one. Listen, there's a reason why I don't have stupid cars or stupid dust or, bought a Jeep, Rubicon or other stuff. I told Liz, I heard Grant Cardone even say, if you don't have $300,000 cash to your name to fight a serious legal lawsuit, you're not even in the game. And so I could build my house right now and we would probably be at 0. And I said, well, we could just wait a little bit because you never know. And I'm not waiting to get sued. I'm just saying though, I ain't tapping myself out. I want to make sure I got some coin to be able to fight anything, anytime. And the more I get bigger, the more you never know. I'm not waiting or inviting anything. I'm just saying, man, don't play games with this stuff, guys. I'm telling you, it's not competition in the $20 guy that's going to take you out in a business. I'm just telling you straight up. I'm so tired of the excuses and the whining from so many different things and people and bad info and bad advice. You know what takes you out? Stupid stuff like this and not paying your taxes. I'm telling you straight up, more people dig their financial grave by not paying their taxes, quarterly, state and federal sales tax, than anything else. I'm just telling you straight up. And you're like, oh, that's the $20 guy, or we sling mulch better than you. I'm like, that's cool. Do you pay your taxes? Because if you're behind on your taxes, you're not paying your estimated correctly. You don't have a good bookkeeper, a good CPA. I don't even care how well you mow lawns or how well you sling mulch or landscape. I'm going to outlast you because you're going to implode before I do. Straight up. Is that real talk right there? How was that for unfiltered? All right. Number 8. Sometimes I'm your friend. Sometimes I'm just shooting it straight. All right. I'm always your friend. A good friend, what do they say? A friend loves you the way you are. A good friend will love you too much to let you say the same. All right. Number 8, provides information about where employees can turn to help. That's great. Ultimately, you want your employees to feel comfortable turning to a trusted member of management for help when they want to report workplace violations, obtain workplace-related assistance to get answers to other questions they may have. I like that. We don't have a ton of resources like that built into our employee handbook, but it is worth noting. If you have a bigger company, do you have an 800 number for HR? Do you have a different place they can turn to? Do they have the OSHA poster hanging up somewhere in the enclosed trailer, at your storage locker, at the shop, at the office? These are compliance things. They do need to be up. Every registered business gets updated OSHA stuff, if I'm not mistaken. I know we do all the time. We get the tube, get all the extra posters. I think our payroll company actually sends that to us, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that's where I get it from. But I make sure that it's up and posted all over the place, all the little ones that we get too, because I want to be in compliance. As weird as it sounds, guys, you're working out of storage lockers and you got two guys, you just want to go mow grass and trim grass. You're like, dude, I've never heard about any of this before in my life. I know, that's why I'm telling you right now, because for $20, you get an employee handbook and the $30 application, and you can start rocking and rolling and making sure that you guys are compliant. All right. For us, our number 8 is my wife. I always joke with my guys, you got problems, call my wife. And she's far less understanding and forgiving than I am. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up right here. This is just a quick little fun one talking about all things employee handbook related, employee procurement form. By the way, if you're trying to hire somebody, don't just tell them to show up to a job site, tell them to come join you at the rig, pick up a shovel, start slinging mulch, see how they do, or throw them on a trimmer and see if they're any good. Have an actual meeting. I don't care if it's a phone interview, but meet them up at a Starbucks for crying out loud for 25 minutes. Buy them a cup of coffee. If you have a good vibe and a good conversation, you want to offer them a job, get them the employee handbook. Cover it right then. Cover it in the next meeting. Give it to them to take home and then bring back. Also, the employee application and procurement form. You need to get correct info from people. Name, address, social security number. Are they a U.S. citizen? Do they have the right to work? All these different things. There's questions you can ask, things that you can't ask on an interview, right? We don't really have a how-to on that. Watch some good YouTube videos, but it's important stuff. But you need to have an employee application and procurement form for every single person you hire. I mean, it's wild. Like this, I wasn't even doing this 4 years ago. Since then, everybody's went through the mill correctly. So we have a system now, right? All right. That's what I got for you guys on this one. I think it's a really helpful episode. I don't see anybody talking about this stuff, which is even more alarming, but you guys need to make sure that you're covering it. One last thing I'll say is in our employee handbook, we do a lot of social media. We have social media releases and waivers. Okay. So anything that we capture for, people's likeness and all this mess, we can use it anywhere, anytime, any place, on any of our content. And so any which way, if you guys do stuff with Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, for your company, or you have a website and you take a photo of your guy on the mower and that guy quits and 3 years later he wants his photo down, or he comes at you with a $10,000 lawsuit or whatever. He says, you didn't, give me compensation or I didn't sign off on you using my likeness. What are you going to do? What would you do? I guess that's my question. Well, here's the proposition. What would you do? Where would you go next? What's your fallback? If you get sued and they lawyer up and you lawyer up, are you going to say, well, our employee handbook on page 7 says we can use any photos of any of our employees anytime we want? What if you're at a trade show or a home show? Can you do that? And that lawsuit's going to go from a really nasty situation to, well, you did sign that thing, dude, and these guys do have the right to use your stuff, so this is going to probably wrap up a lot sooner than you thought, and you're not going to get anything. But are you just out there, skinny dipping? Because if that's the case, that's not a good way to go, because eventually the tide's going to roll out. All right? Roll tide. All right, guys. Well, that's what I got for you really quick on today's episode. We'll try to lighten it up. It's a serious topic. I do want to make sure that you guys are covered. Go to launchpreneuracademy.com under store. The employee handbook is there. It's a great resource. A lot of stuff in there. We're updating it all the time. If you have suggestions, let me know as well. We'll update that so everybody can benefit. If you have things that you want to include in there, make sure you guys personalize it for your company as well. And then you can also get the employee application for I think $30. There's a bundle where it's 10 or 15% off. So, all right, guys, over and out. We're going to sign off right here. Thanks again for listening into this episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast, and we look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one.
Ballard Innovative Products is a full line of gear for the lawn and landscape professional. From mower gear, safety gear, trailer racks, equipment securement, equipment servicing tools, aerators, mower blades, X-blades, aluminum baggers, cleaning products, snow removal tools, and so much more to make you efficient, effective, safe, and profitable in the field. Be sure to check out the Ballard-Inc.com website to help dominate and elevate your business this season. With over 20 years selling accessories and 30 years in the business, they're sure they've got something you can't live without. Corey also said to tell you they appreciate the support and look forward to serving you this season, and to stay safe and keep grinding, friends. And oh yeah, don't forget to use Brian's 10 at checkout to save 10%.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, No one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.